But I room record keeping system after I was finished with this course. So next year I'll have progress reports and stuff to share, but for now.
Well, I just pulled mine off of the AMS website last year because I had made my own a couple of times and I was like not happy with them, and and then so I was like, I'm done. And so my director, my school just said, look on the AMS website and see if there's anything that would work for you. And so I did.
That's good. Yeah, Transparent Classroom is pretty cool software. I can just input I can type my observations right into it for each child, and I can tag their almost hashtag with their name photos, and it goes right to their file. And then I can just press generate report, and it'll make a progress report, which is kind of cool. Wow. I haven't done it yet, but it's supposed to be good. I'll have to, maybe I'll share in March if people go to the conference in DC. I'll let people know that I meet there, how it's going. Maybe you can get the Transparent Classroom software. I looked at it once before, but for some reason I didn't have access to the toddler portion of it, and so it was all primary, and I was like, there's all these lessons. This is really intense. What? I didn't know what to do with all of it, but
I'll have to look.
It'd be helpful.
The last time I looked at Transparent Classroom for toddlers, it did not have enough of the lessons in there to make me feel like it was going to be worth it. We would have had to do a lot of lesson set loading, and we use an it's a web-based platform, so you have to use a browser, and it likes Apple the best, so it likes Safari the best, which is fine. But we just haven't made that leap yet. But it's reasonably priced, and it's a good product, and we do use it in our primary classroom. So if we did I'm pushing the toddler teachers to do that, to go migrate to Transparent Classroom, because it will make record keeping so much easier, as you said.
Yeah.
And I will check in with you in March, because I will be in DC, so I can see you there.
Cool. Yeah. I did briefly play around with it a couple years ago at this point, just for the daily record keeping type thing, toileting and how they ate and how they slept, and it was actually incredibly difficult, I thought.
No, it is.
It was super time consuming, and I was like, this is dumb. I can do this so much faster with my handy little whiteboards in the bathroom, where I write down everybody's diaper changes and toilet usage, and then I write it directly in their folders at nap time. And so that's when I stopped using it. And then I started my course not long after that. And I was like, I can't do both at the same time. So, but I guess with Transparent Classroom, the creators or whatever, the people that do it, are really receptive to the feedback from teachers who are using it. So I heard they did sort of modify some of that daily record keeping, input stuff. I don't know if it's any easier now, but
that's why we haven't migrated to it, quite frankly. It's so much more complicated than the Kambu system. That was actually what I was going to say before, so we really like Kambu. It's an app, and so it takes less time than it used to write stuff down with a pen and paper. So but maybe they've changed it, because we actually were one of the first schools that started using Transparent Classroom in 2013. Cool. We do know Jeremy and their development team is very receptive and very responsive. So we've had a great experience with them, and we definitely recommend Transparent Classroom for primary. It's just not the greatest fit for us. And it's sad, because they actually built the toddler module because we were really pushing them to do it. We're ready to go. But then in the meantime, we found a different system that works better.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's lots of other people that are using it.
Yeah.
I noticed in our primary classroom, the teacher, she has like this large printout of multiple different lessons. And I think she probably has one for each kid, and she keeps it on a clipboard in the classroom. So as soon as she presents a lesson, she checks it, and then she can keep track. Then she goes back later and inputs it into the system, just because she doesn't do it on her phone right then and there. But
yeah, you can take the pictures on your phone, and they go directly into the app, and then you can go back later and tag the kids in the lessons.
Yeah, and I remembered you telling me that it likes, like, if we could get a hold of like an old iPhone or something.
Yeah, it likes. I think it
keep in the classroom to take photos of.
Yeah, I think it only is an Apple, or it was anyway. It was only available through the App Store.
Because I don't have an iPhone. But
wah, wah.
yeah, I mean, I would just have to do the old-fashioned way of uploading it onto the computer and saving it and blah 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 blah. Which is the story of my life, but
they've made it easier though to do that. They've made it easier to, but that's a lot of steps. So we've got,
it is a lot of steps.
Anne, Dabika joined us, and I think 2 people on the phone. I know Anne's one of them, right?
And Laura.
And Shelby.
Shelby.
Yeah, that's me.
How are you okay? No.
Who, me?
Yeah. We're used to
Yeah,
seeing.
I'm good. Actually, I'm in my new apartment. I do not have internet, so I'm using my phone.
Oh, so that's awesome, but also not awesome.
Yeah.
So how's Drake like the new? So were you living with your parents, and now you guys have your own place?
I was living with my grandparents, and yes, now we have our own place. It's 2 bedrooms, and Drake is asleep in his own bed right now. That's why I'm late. I was putting him to sleep.
That's so great.
So we're doing good.
Nice.
I'm so excited. He slept all last night in his own bed, and I woke up probably 5 times thinking I heard him, but he was asleep.
It's pretty amazing. Like, I hear a lot from parents, kind of that, it's hard. It seems like it's going to be really hard to like wean. That was something that came up for one of the parents of the toddlers who's about to go into primary, and her mom was like, I feel like I should wean her. Nobody's sleeping very good. And I'm like, yeah, you should. Yeah, I support you in that. You should wean her. And so all week she's been like stopping in my office and telling me how much better everybody's sleeping. And
awesome.
Yeah, it is.
That's good. I just had a conference with a family today who their son, he's not 3. He's like not even 2. So he still nurses. And I know that was a struggle for him at nap time. He's the kid that like would just cry the whole time.
Yeah.
So I had their conference today, and they were saying how like he's been waking up in the night and he still sleeps. He sleeps on like one of those arms reach co-sleepers, those things that like butt up to your bed. He still sleeps on that.
Oh my gosh, those are
and
for
I was
babies.
Like, he's tiny. He's a little guy. He's petite. I could totally see him fitting in it. So anyways, but I was like, tons of people co-sleep. Like, that's not my choice. You do that if you want to. But she's like, but then he just wants to nurse for like ever, on and off all night. And I was like, well, you might be coming to a point where you want to consider nighttime weaning at least. And then his dad specifically brought up, he's like, he won't let me comfort him. He won't let me do anything. He just wants her. And I was like, well, that's because, she can nurse him. And we had a whole conversation. And I feel that's a really hard conversation for me to have with parents, because I have some of my own personal opinions about it. And I have what I've learned, but I really feel passionate about making sure that all my families know that I respect their choices, and I want them to be the parents they want to be. I don't want to, make them do something just because I think it's right. So I was like so careful about this conversation, but I really, he's not very independent. So I was like, you might want to consider stopping the nighttime nursing. And then I did tell them, I was like, you might have to transition him to his own room, because if he's there with you in the night, that's what he's going to want. And that might be hard for him to be so close to you, but not be able to, I don't know, do the same thing. I just feel like it might be time. And they're always like, we didn't sleep. We feel like zombies.
Well, whenever I don't want to have those hard conversations, I find a resource from like a, so Janet Lansbury is someone who's addressed this issue over and over again. So I'll like find some resources like from Dr. Sears or from Janet Lansbury or someone who's set, or a Montessori source that articulates our philosophy without it like coming directly from me. Like, well, this is kind of what the experts say. So you might want to check that out. And then it kind of takes the onus off of you, and it's less like Laura told me that I should do this, and like, wow, I've read all these resources from respectable people who.
All right, I'll have to remember that name, Janet Lansbury. Yeah. I have a really good, relationship with this family, and so they didn't take any, they knew. The mom was like, yeah, I know, we do need to think about doing this, and I was like, I'm not saying you have to do it right now, but it should be, in the back of your mind, something that you're thinking about, something that you're working towards. And so I gave them some other tips on, trying to get dad to be able to be a little more involved.
Yeah.
And not just everything on mom, but that's hard. And I was like, they were like, I don't know if you know any other parents that's happened to, like that the dad can't do anything. And I was like, I raised my hand. I was like, you're looking at one. Yeah. Like my kids they always want me, and that's hard, but it is what it is. It was a good conference though. I've had some good conferences this week.
Awesome. Well, I kind of like was putting my headphones in when I heard you and Wendy talking about how, or Chris, that it's been hard to get to the review. It's really, really robust. Like I feel overwhelmed. So I don't know how. I think that the idea is that if someone's already answered a question, like that if everyone answers different questions, then we'll all kind of learn from one another, and no one has to necessarily do the whole the whole thing. So it
yeah, that is nice. There's got to be some overlap, because there's not enough questions for everyone to answer like 3 for the first 2 for the first 2 sections this week. But I mean,
the forums,
the forums are the question is extreme. It's like it's like extended response questions. Like, I mean, I just answered one of them today that was like 4 pages typed.
Oh my gosh.
Because it was a lot. Like there was like, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And I was like, this is all one. I don't know. It's not always like a question either. It's more like defining a bunch of terms and, stuff like that. But, it definitely, I will say that it doesn't usually take me the 10 hours a week to finish my work, but this probably will.
Well, it's supposed to. I mean.
Yeah, I don't know. It never took me quite that long to do it all, but,
well, I'm glad you're here, Dabika. How's your holiday? How's everything going?
Well, it's not that great.
Oh no.
I don't know whether you heard that there is a death in my family.
We did not hear.
Yeah, my immediate sister died. After I finished last week's Tuesday,
oh no.
I got the news from India.
Oh my goodness.
So, and right now I cannot go back there. So it's very hard for me.
I bet. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's one of the time,
Yeah. What's her name?
Her name was Dipti.
Dipti?
Dipti means light.
lights. Is she older or younger?
She was 3 years older than me.
Oh, so really
Just
close in age.
Yeah, very close. And I just spoke to her day before she died. She had the stroke. She had a stroke.
No.
Yeah, because of we are going through the religious holidays,
Yeah.
so that's why I called her to show my respect. That's how we do it. And the next day she was in the hospital and she couldn't make it because she had a massive stroke. And her sodium fell so rapidly. And actually the clotting was in a very bad place of the brain. That part of the brain actually controls the all vital organs of the body. So it was really very sad. And
Yeah.
yeah,
She's
she was
young.
she was good health, and she was doing everything. She was fit. It
Yeah.
just happened. So
Well, it must be really hard not to be with the rest of your family right now.
yeah, it is so hard. That's so.
Well, we're sending you a lot of love, and
Thank you.
just, yeah, there's no words. No words. It doesn't make stuff like that just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Well,
And Rashini, you sent us an email regarding your logging thing. I just forwarded that to Terry and asked her to help. I have no idea how we can help you.
I know Terry's the one that sets all that stuff up.
Yeah, she knows.
Well,
any kind of technical questions I receive from you guys, I always forward it to Terry so she can take care of it.
Well, I think that the most of the links did work, but you're right. But the ones the Roshani emailed us did not work. The ones, the Pinchian Garden, the story of the Pinchian, is that how you say it? Does that sound familiar? They're all things that I think that these are all resources from Module 1. And if you remember, I came in like right as you guys moved from Module 1 to Module 2. So I will go back and look at all of these things. Well, do you feel like digging into this tonight, Dabika? I would definitely understand if you if you aren't up for class. It's always great to see your beautiful face.
No, I just want to be with work. After I got the news, I was doing all the reports. Laura's report, I had 3 reports to submit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working on that, and it was middle of the night by 2:00, and Terry just called me. She sent me a message, what are you doing at this time? What happened? It's you. So I had to tell her, this is what happened, and I really want to be engaged with something else so that I can at least keep my mind off those things, because all my childhood memories are coming, and it's very hard for me. Yeah. So it's better I talk to you guys, I do something different.
Well, I actually would love to hear you if you're talk a little bit about the absorbent mind and sensitive periods. And I think that it might be great for us to kind of review like how the absorbent mind and the sensitive periods work together. I think, and the other concepts that I think are really tough, I feel like I still kind of struggle with them sometimes, is the idea of the horme and the Mimi. Like, I know those are words that Montessori basically made up, but I think that they're all, how are they all related, and like what's important about those things that we remember. I think that your perspective is super valuable because you can see how those things relate not just to the infants and the toddlers, but how that thread gets pulled through early childhood through, do you know what I'm saying? Because you have that whole arc of training. And even though they're most relevant in early childhood, like how they all work together in this, you know.
Are you saying that to me?
Yeah. Do you feel like talking about the sensitive
No,
period?
I can't. I really.
Okay. You just want to listen.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, because Laura, I was responding to your post this afternoon, and I felt like I had to keep going back to the Absorbent Mind and reading it again and again, because I wanted to be sure that I said the right thing, because there is a difference between a sensitive period and a critical period. Like when the cats, when they so the difference is that, like, if you don't hear language in the first 5 years, you will not ever really learn to speak or interact verbally.
Mm-hmm.
Like but in if you don't learn how to use the toilet before you're 3 years old, like, you probably will still learn how to use the toilet. You just missed the sensitive period for using the toilet. So those were the examples that I used in when I responded to your post. But I just feel like it's important that sorry, I have a heating pad. That everyone understand the difference between a sensitive period and a critical period, and then, like, understand too, like, how the absorbent mind, like how the absorbent mind and the sensitive periods work together to you know, to compel the child's growth and development.
So the Hubel and Weisel, if I pronounce their names right, I don't know, their studies with the cats, like, so those were critical periods, not sensitive periods, because the cats some of them never developed their ability to see, even though all of what was in their bodies was formed and ready to be used, but they didn't use it.
Right.
So they didn't develop the ability to see. So those were critical periods because they were never able to go back and do that after a certain point.
Right. They missed that. And it's the same thing with language. Like, you can have a fully functioning Broca's area and Wernicke, you know, all your brain, your tongue can form words, and you can be physically capable of hearing and speaking. But if you're not exposed to language, then you will not. I mean, and that is pretty well documented. That children who grow up in the absence of spoken language, or even like and that doesn't count ASL or like sign language, because children still follow the same pattern of language acquisition when they're exposed to sign language, like they babble in sign language. But if you miss that critical period of language development, that you'll never be able to speak with proficiency. But like the sensitive period for order, like, well, there's plenty of kids out there who don't have any schedule. Yeah, they don't. They're, I see them at the movies at 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like, why are you going to see this movie at 10 o'clock at night? And so but they still, and who knows? I think that the difference being, like, you're not going to acquire the skills that you would have otherwise acquired with the same degree of proficiency or ease as in the sensitive period. Like, when that window opens, you are able to develop it that skill fully without, and it's the
you can absorb it actually. At that particular sensitive period, you can only absorb the stuff that you're supposed to be, and once you pass that stage time, and then it's become very hard for you to do that. That is the critical period. So, and every thing, like language, order, as you say, toilet training, everything has a definite period, sensitive period. And if they cannot absorb, they're not helped to be absorbed, they're not prepared, the environment is not helping them to do that, then and they pass that sensitive period, then it's very difficult. and it becomes a real problem in later life. That's why you see a lot of elementary educated, in elementary classrooms, the children who didn't go through the Montessori environment, especially from infant through elementary, they didn't get a chance to absorb those things, and that's why there are a lot of difficult situations comes in the elementary classroom that I experienced. And it's very hard for them to absorb that norm, to be a normalized kid in the classrooms. It's very hard. So
well,
it's really essential.
I would say definitely, and like movement could also be another critical period, because if you, I mean, like I've read that children in places, big cities where they are, where it really isn't safe for them to walk, like they're in a container, they're in a stroller, they're in a backpack. So now they have to go to like physical therapy because their muscles are not, they're in their strollers and they've got their iPads, and so their muscles are atrophying. So movement is probably, I think, another critical period. If you are not able to move in accordance to that sensitive period in the first 5 years, the first 6 years, then you will not learn with the same degree of proficiency. Your muscles might atrophy. You might need occupational therapy or interventions, and you might not ever be able to recover full mobility in the way that you would have had you had exposure, had you been able to move freely as a young child. So yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Hey, Ann.
Hey guys, girls. Two things, I guess, to both points. When I was thinking about what I might say if the bucket container question came up, which it does, I guess, a little later in one of the reviews, was really kind of what you just said, was that by not giving them those opportunities, we're basically not allowing them to kind of have the opportunity to develop, vestibular and proprioceptive senses and use the muscles in the order that they need to be used. So if we teach them, if we prop them up, we're not allowing them to develop the balance, that would have preceded that. And then to that point, I was thinking about how when we were talking about myelinization and forming those connections and synapses and all of that, stuff, for lack of a better word, how when we talk about them forming the understanding and ability to do those things, they're also forming like the organs and the parts of their body that are necessary for doing those things. So I guess I was trying to figure out a way to eloquently express all of that. But I guess that does tie into kind of absorbent mind / sensitive critical period, where if they don't have the opportunity to do those things, they can't form, those synapses and organs and muscles. And like, we're not just robbing them of a chance to do it. We're really robbing them of the opportunity to form what's necessary to do it. Am I making sense?
Yeah, well, I think so. Yeah. So, because in order to develop sight, for example, you not only have to have the physical ability to see, but also you have to have the opportunity to look at things, right? Like, because sight really happens in the brain. So it's just like when in the womb, I kind of Dr. Montanaro in Understanding the Human Being talked about how the baby in utero stimulates further brain development by touching itself, like making a map of itself, and then it's like a feedback loop. So like touching things in utero compels further brain development, and that brain development sends signals that tell the body to move more. So it's like a loop, and you can't have one without the other. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah. So it's like, yes, we have to, obviously as Montessorians, we don't want to prop them or put them in containers or anything just because we know that that's not, what's developmentally appropriate or best practice or both. But just that by giving them different opportunities, we're giving them the chance to experience things in their own time, in their own way,
right,
and get that feedback and do with it what makes sense to them, not us kind of doing that backwards by saying, oh, here's how you set up, but they haven't had a chance to develop the core strength and the balance and the muscle control to be able to do that by themselves.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and I think
just trying to find a way to put that all together eloquently.
I think when it comes to propping kids up, I mean, we can have a decent idea of the general timeline of of development, but we don't know exactly what's going on when entirely inside them, but their body does. So their body itself propels them to perform certain tasks because that's what it's working on right then. So if we're skipping those tasks and then just putting them right to sitting up, their body didn't get a chance to perform all those other important tasks, and it's skipping over them.
So not
and
use those muscles too. So if you're setting them up for them, then they're not getting to practice using those muscles in order to sit up. So you can set them up, and so in turn, some of the kids in my class, they just lay on the table, and it's like they don't have that core strength to stand up at the table and do works, because I have some materials that are on the table that they have to stand, and there's no chair. And so I find them just laying, and I think that that's really important, is to allow them to get those core muscles so that they can hold themselves up. So anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, Anne, I thought that you said it eloquently enough. I think that it is hard to express that concept, though.
Thank you.
Yeah. No.
When I write it out, I might be able to make a little bit more I don't know, sense of it or some way. But basically, I guess tying those two things together with a little bit of that other concept of, yes, this is absorbent, mind/sensitive period, but also that myelinization and development of synapse, and giving those opportunities to do those things on their own as opposed to us doing it for them. So yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see what it comes out as.
Well, and sorry, I think that myelinization, well, what do you think is, so did you skip ahead, Anne? Is this, are these questions from one of the future weeks?
I don't know if I saw it there or when I had originally found that thing in the resource library.
Right.
I feel like I saw something about containers or I don't know.
Well, I was just curious. Well, we can talk about pretty much anything that you guys want to talk about. Do you have any anxieties about the exam or any question? I mean, not I haven't gone through this with anybody, but we can definitely talk a little bit about your fears, or, I think that it's going to be okay. I think that you'll know. Because I've read through the procedure several times, and I feel and I'm going to see Terry in a couple days, actually. So next week, I'll have a lot more information about what to expect. But it seems fairly straightforward to me. So what are you worried about? Let's talk through some of your worries or concerns.
So the oral portion of the exam is like a Zoom chat with you or Dabika, and you'll be presenting us with like different scenarios and then asking, you know, like what would we do in this instance, or I mean, just because I know that the whole exam is open book, but that would not be the best time to be like flipping through our albums. So I'm just not entirely sure what to expect and how to like fully prepare. Like, are we going to be asked to like define terms, like vocabulary terms
no,
with you, or?
So basically what it says in the exam procedures is that you like there'll be 3 scenarios that are presented to you, and they're random, and I'm not exactly sure how we get those scenarios, but Terry will explain it to us. So when we set up, she'll probably email them to us prior to the time. You know, we'll tell her we're doing your oral exam on this day at this time, etc. So basically the you can pass one time, it says, and the scenarios will be a behavioral situation and requests to show materials to specific children. So you'll and you can pass one time, and if you do that, then we'll replace it with a different question. And then basically, you know, I'm imagining that it'll be like some kind of, I don't know, so-and-so's having a hard time coming into the classroom in the morning, or, you know, they'll paint a picture of a common.
Yeah, like you guys, we already did that in Zoom. A lot of people, you came from your classroom with a lot of things, behavioral issues, and you brought it up in the Zoom meeting, and we discussed it. And some of you went back and tried that, and it worked. So I think it shouldn't be any problem, because you guys already practiced that many times. We had a lot of discussion about those things.
Yeah,
right?
So you'll just maybe want us to like retrieve a material within the classroom that would maybe suit a need that was described
it's not
in
particularly
a scenario?
the material. Actually, it will be like one scenario or something, some behavioral issues that you may have in the classroom, or maybe you have observed somebody, a child, with certain things, and then from your understanding, how you will find what are the child's needs are, what can you,
Okay.
yeah, and then you can find out, and you guys are doing that all the time, and you will find out that if this child is having difficulty concentrating, say, like, I'm just putting in general, the child is concentrating on one activity, and then what are you going to observe for that child? That child, you're going to observe that what is the special interest of that child, what activity is keeping him, he's self-motivated to do that work, going repeatedly and doing the work. Even if he's not doing the work for longer period, he's doing it for just short period, and then he's distracted. So how you're going to solve that, the problem for that child, because the child is having some difficulty, and what is the difficulty? Then you will think about it, and then you will create something. You can modify that activity to keep him for longer, or you can create a point of interest for that child, that the child will be able to be concentrate better, these kind of things.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, it's like preparing the environment, keeping the child fully focused on that particular activity. Some children are moving around in the classroom, so you can give them freedom of movement within the limits. How you're going to create that activity so that he can move around. Like washing a table is a lot of movement involved. And so that kind of thing, you can create something to solve satisfy the need of that particular child. And that's what we are doing in the classroom, actually, all the time.
Yeah, I shortchange myself often. I'm always like panicking. I don't know anything.
No,
but I do it all day.
Observation.
Yeah.
Observation is the best thing. Observe and think about it.
And
Assessment, observation, assessment, and then creating.
And as Dabika said, really being in touch with the direct and indirect aims of the materials, know the point of interest, what sensitive period the material satisfies, the purpose of the work, the age range, those kinds of things, like,
Yes.
Will be assessed. So I think that like you said, Laura, these are things that you guys do every day. You're making these choices every day about, and I'm imagining that Dabika and I will, I'm not going to give you the answer, but we'll help, we'll remind you.
It will be a very important discussion, yes. And just like you do the chat with us, and Mercedes, you're going to the conference, right?
I leave tomorrow night, you guys.
Yeah, and you're going to have enjoy the conference, and you're going to have a direct conversation with Terry, right?
Yeah.
The group of us, you and me, we are doing, this is the first time we are doing the examination. So try to gather as much information as possible, and then share it with me.
Yeah.
We can even Zoom chat for each other, and then we can help them. Actually, you guys have answered so many questions. Guys have gone through so many chats, discussions. I don't think any of you will have any difficulty, so you don't have to really worry about it. I'm very confident about you guys.
It's just the anxiety of test. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah,
it's like the word test is like, oh my gosh, I can't remember what I'm supposed to say.
Just keep that word out of your mind, that this is not nothing. You're just doing a chat with us. That's it.
And it's pass or no, or retest. So
yes,
it's not like a graded. It's you pass or you have to talk to us again.
At first, when you said one pass, I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to pass it or that's it. I was like, what?
You guys are doing great. I can tell you that you guys are doing great, and you have gone through so much that it will be just 1, 2, 3 for you, and there is no grading there. And we are here. We'll talk about it. Just though it will be recorded as exactly the way we are recording now. So just keep the basic thing in your mind, that preparing the environment, observation, assessment, preparing the environment. Again, it's like a circle. First you prepare the environment, then you observe whether it's working or not, what is working and what is not working for a particular child or for everybody. And then you do this is the assessment. Once you have it, you know exactly what to put to bring all together. That's the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, I had another question. That this was regarding the leading a parent conference assignment. I posted on the community corner forum to Terry, but I don't know how often she checks that. But well, first of all, I apparently accidentally submitted it, and I didn't mean to. So I was supposed to let you guys know.
Oh, okay.
So we can fix it, because it was weird. I did not think that I pressed submit, but maybe I pressed submit instead of save. So I need that back. And I guess I didn't pay attention. I'll just own it. I didn't realize that I was supposed to do like 2 back in maybe the spring and then 2 now. It says like at the beginning of the year and the end of the year. Technically this is the beginning of my year. The beginning of the year, but we didn't have our practicum until January. So, but I didn't do that. So, and I also lead my own because I'm the head teacher, and like the first 2 were supposed to be like, if you weren't the head teacher, I guess you observing conferences and taking notes and answering some questions. And then the last 2 were supposed to be you leading conferences. So I was just wondering, should I just do 4 of me leading conferences and submit them? I guess I don't know what to do. I can't go back. So
I know. I have to go back and review the requirement. I'm not.
okay.
I see your post here.
Yeah.
But I'm not in touch with the exact wording of the requirement, so I need to go back
Okay.
and but in terms of your case study, 15 is the minimum, I thought. Or
15 months.
you have 8 8 and I have and 7. No, so that's what you have. You have 8 and 7, so 15. I thought they
Okay.
yeah. Yeah,
I thought you
no.
meant for each kid. I'm like, that's impossible.
No.
We haven't been doing it that long.
No. I think well, she addressed this a few weeks ago, but I think that what you have is fine.
Okay.
So
yeah, I was kicking myself. I I don't even know where my notes for one of them went, and I was like, no. Okay, but I still have 15. So okay, that's good.
Yeah.
All right.
And I mean, in terms of the conferences, I'm sure that we can find something that works. I'll go back and look at the exact wording of the assignment. And like Dabika said, I'm going to be in Florida. Terry and I hopefully will have. I mean, we said that we would get a chance to connect. It's a pretty, you're pretty busy, but they give a lot of like room on around the session so that people can talk and. And sometimes I don't go to all the sessions too, so I know
the wording for the conference assignments, it really pertains very much to someone who's not leading their own classroom. So I'm not an intern. Like I can only report on what I do. I can't really observe another person giving my toddler conferences because no one else can do it. So I feel like the assignment's not structured very well for someone who's leading a classroom anyways.
Well,
so I was a little confused by,
Yeah, Eugenia is in the same situation, I feel like, because she's also, well, and Shelby, you're a lead teacher too, right?
Yeah, most of us are, I think. A lot of us are the lead teacher in our classroom.
I was going to say, when I looked at the assignment, there was a different option for those who lead their classroom, and you just talk about the conference that you had.
That's what I thought too. So let me let me go back and look, and I'll yeah, and I'll get back to you, Laura.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Cool. Yeah. Well, I don't want you guys to worry. I think it's a little weird that we give tests. I mean, I know that we have to be responsible for ensuring that, we're turning you loose with a like, and if you think about it, the thing that Montessorians tend to agree on when it comes to training is that it's regardless of the training lineage or the brand of Montessori that you practice, it's the beginning. So like it's like the threshold. But so there needs to be some level of accountability there in terms of your certificate. But it is a little weird to give you a test in relation to a philosophy that does not believe in tests, right?
Yeah, isn't the need for some grades, isn't that like a MACD requirement?
Probably. I never had to take
it. So
it is a requirement for MACD, and it's not a test like test. It's like just to find out how much you have internalized the whole philosophy and the pedagogy. That's the main thing. The goal is that. So as a like traditional way, you will say test, but it's not a test like that. It's just to find out how much you have observed from and it's also an evaluation for our side also for CJMS, that how we are presenting the whole material and the lectures and the chats and all those things that you are able to observe, just like you do for the children. That's how we do it. How much the children are absorbing, and we have to find out how much the teachers the adult learners are absorbing from what we are trying to give them. And also at the same time, we are trying to find out, you have absorbed it, but absorbing and internalizing it by applying it in the environment, how much you have done it. That's the only thing. So please don't worry about it. There will be no grading. And if something that you are making a mistake, we can always we set another meeting with you and we can talk about it, and then you can understand it better, and then we can discuss that, right? Mercedes?
Yeah, no, I think that like Devika said, it's just a conversation where we ensure that you guys, can make a decision about, a scenario, which I'm confident that you can.
Yeah, because when
You're doing it.
After you finish this whole certification, you are going to be all by yourself in the classroom, and all the children that you are taking care of, their future is in your hand. So as much as you can ask questions now, that will help you to grow to be a successful Montessorian, so that you can continue with the Montessori philosophy and the pedagogy and help the children to become the best. That's the goal. So, and when I'm saying that, it's not that even if you are not in the training program and you are done and you still cannot continue with us, no, you can. You can always call back. Like sometimes we did that too. When I finished my training, I still get in touch with my trainer. We still talk about it if I have any issue or anything. We are always going to be there. So you can always call us even if after you finish your certification and you're in the classroom. And you may start your own programs, and we are always there to help you. So please feel free to just relax and ask questions. It will be just a conference with us, nothing more.
Do you, Rashani's sick. She sent me poor Rashani has the flu, so she can't talk. So she's sending me messages. And I don't, so Rashani's question was, do you know how many questions in the written paper? And 4 hours is a long time. But we don't expect you to take that long. So that's what Terry says. That's what it says in the, the review. I would guess that there's probably maybe between 15 and 20 questions total. I don't know. What do you think, Zubika? How many questions do you think are in the written exam?
I don't think that will be 15.
You don't think that many?
No, 10, 20, 10, 15 maybe.
10 to 15. Okay.
Well, there is like some matching terms and definitions.
That's
and
right.
Possibly, and then there's also like
the
basically answer. Like discussion prompt questions, like short to medium, maybe extended answer questions, but no essays or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you won't need
I
4
think
hours.
I think they give you so much time because it's open note. So they want to give you time to look back and make sure you get your answers right, because they want us to pass.
Yeah, because those will be graded. They'll be more of a, like the oral exam is like a softer rubric, I guess, for lack of a better. It's Devika and our judgment. But the written exams, we don't have as much well, obviously a multiple choice test is a multiple choice test, but we have like a rubric that basically instructs us to look for certain phrases or words that you're using in your answers, and so there is an obligation to like kick that back to you and have you revise it if all the information, if there's some information missing. So
I'm pretty sure that you can go back in your reports. I'm talking to all the students, and you can print off like the quizzes that we have taken, because there was a lot of like term and matching response. So I would recommend that we like try to go print all that off and have it handy, because I can guarantee you that some of those exact same questions are going to be on the exam, and you don't want to have to look for them on the Moodle while you're trying to take the exam. So
yeah, no, that's great advice.
I was going to do that. Little hint of advice. I think that's And also printing off all the forums that we're doing right now, everybody's answers, and reading through them well before the exam, and then you can reference them when you're answering probably some of the same questions on the exam.
And
good girl, very good.
Yeah, and you don't want to like copy and paste from previous answers or from the forum. Even if your answers are similar, they run everything through like a it's a program that checks to see, like a plagiarism program essentially. So I don't know. That was what happened when I was in my degree. So just be careful about lifting things directly from the forums and pasting them. You want to start fresh.
Yeah, no, definitely familiarize yourself with it so you can put it in your own words.
Yes. And even like you can even flip back and forth and be like, okay, how do I say this in a different way? But
yeah, I mean, honestly, when you're defining terms, like, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. Like, you can put it in your own words, but you still have to say what it is. So you kind of have to stick fairly close to.
Yes, right.
Yeah. So that makes it, tricky, but.
All right. What any last requests?
Somebody's calling me on my phone, sorry. So you turn in all your stuff and you have certain weeks that you do the tests, or do you do it on your own time at work?
You have a certain amount of time to do. I can't remember exactly how. It's a pretty long stretch of time that you have before you have to.
It's not like within the next week you have to.
No. Well, we have these 3 review weeks. I'm sorry. I have to go back and look at the timeline. But and then
I thought there was
Chris, you don't have to take the EC overview because you already have your credentials. So if you have returned all of your materials and are ready to take the exam,
I have some stuff that I need to get done. And so I'm planning on doing that at that time and getting everything submitted and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
well, I think it's you want to do it within a month, but also I will go back and check the actual, the hard rule, but things come up and the program has to be flexible. And so, I mean, when I did my training, I got pregnant. And so I didn't actually finish all of my requirements until 2 years later. But because I kept in good contact with my administrator and she knew what was going on, they worked with me. So we'll work with you. But you definitely.
I think they have some. Time off.
I think
they're very flexible.
Yeah.
Just get in touch with Perry or Elaine, and they are very flexible. So they'll arrange something.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you have all the way through like December and January to take your finals. And the EC overview, it comes after you take your final because it's in like February because it's not on the exam. So for those who have to take that, it's like separate. It's after you've taken your finals already. I do believe it's not on the exam, they said.
Oh, I thought it was beforehand. But...
Oh, is it in January? I thought it was in February.
It's here nor there. I want to get it done as fast as I can. I mean, I don't want to be like, in 6 months I'll take this test.
No.
But just
I would
do it fresh, because when you are still with this, do it fresh. That's the best.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll be coming to you fresh from the Montessori Foundation conference next Tuesday. And in the meantime, I'm, how to get a hold of me. Email's good. And I'll be a little slow to respond though, because I'm going to be traveling and in the middle of the conference. But I'm here and I'll be posting on the board and looking at what you guys are writing. So we'll do it again next week.
I'm really sad to say our manager scheduled a 4-hour CPR class next Tuesday in the middle of it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'll record it.